meeting to order. And just like to say, I'm back for a few months. You know, I've unfortunately had to do significant travel, and there was some illness and some stuff. So, you know, so I'm back.
Welcome back.
And the one interesting thing I visited is I went to Devil's Tower.
Ooh,
on my
that?
drive back. If you ever saw
Big
Close
rock.
Encounters of the Third Kind,
Yeah?
it's
rock.
this,
Oh, it's a big
you know,
rock.
it's like created by magma, and it goes up, and it
Oh,
looks, you know, when you're there, it's like a sacred Indian kind of
Oh,
location. It's pretty cool.
cool.
So, I did the Badlands too, you know, which is in South Dakota if you've never been out there. So that's, the formations are pretty
Did you
interesting.
drive out there?
No, I drove back.
Back.
No, I'd flown out, spent, you know, time in Montana with my dad. Somehow we, you know, found a car to buy this car, used car that was a great value, and drove it back. You know, and so I spent a week or 8 days on the road, and
Just drove back.
so I did
90 all
that,
the way?
and I, you know, and I went to Mount Rushmore and
Oh,
did the
cool.
Black
Cool.
Hills, and then, you know, so that's the South Dakota thing, and then in the middle of the state, you have like about a 40-mile drive through an area called the Badlands and stuff, so that's pretty
Is
interesting.
it kind of red?
Pardon?
Is it red, the clay and stuff? at the
Well, a
Badlands?
little bit. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's like miniature, you know, like if you've been to Arizona or Utah where you see everything, it's, you know, it's smaller than
You
that.
came back Route 90 all the way?
No, I cut down because
down.
I saw some clients in Columbus, and I had friends in Chicago and that I visited, and relatives and stuff like that. So, but anyway, enough of the aside. So first thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes.
Anything on those complaint folders? Are they getting any complaints? No?
Nope.
No one's bugging you down too much?
Not as much.
Okay. Just thought I'd mention it while I saw it there.
No, not as much.
Are they
still-
taking the paper to fill out? The
I
complaint
offer them the
sheet?
paper, and they're reluctant to put their name on anything.
Did you give them a pen? Say, here you go,
Well, you know,
Here's the paper.
jot it down.
So Tammy, you're not getting any? Nothing, no matter where they are, nothing's coming in there, okay?
But you still hear about them?
I don't even know if they're going to you, Tammy, because my standard thing is go talk to Tammy.
No.
But the form is just another, it's a part of the, if they want to use it, it's there. That's the good thing.
Yeah,
and so it has to be serious before somebody would really commit to putting it in writing and
Right.
signing it, I would think.
I don't even know if that would happen, Joe, at this point. I have my questions about
Yeah.
that.
Because they've come in very, you know,
Are you-
excited and overwrought about it, and they still won't write it down, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
How about the robocalls? Are you using that, like, to send out a notice that we're having a meeting at blah, blah, blah? or
I don't
anything?
use the robocalls for that, no.
Why not? Maybe we could. Maybe we'd have some people here if,
But they're posted, right?
They're posted. They're
Where are
posted,
they
in- it's posted in the laundry room, and it's posted here in the hallway.
okay,
We're
so,
ordering,
okay,
we're
so
ordering
if,
community boards to go one in front of each building to post them on the buildings there.
Perfect.
That's
you
enough.
are posting it outside each building?
No, we don't have them yet. We've ordered them.
Oh, okay. What I'm getting at is if the tenants have people that come in here to do their laundry for them, then they're not seeing the message. If they don't come to the office to pay their rent, they're not seeing the notice. So it's kind of a limited. So if we have a robocall available, why not use it?
Well, number one, as I understand it from,
I mean, Tammy doesn't have to do it. She does have.
no, we need
help.
approval of each of the tenants to do a robocall, because we tried to do that when I was part of the landfill committee, and we were trying to decide what strategies to take.
Okay, so-
And we were not, because, you know, because even when the police do robocalls, you know, people have said they don't want them, and
That's
so
right, you
they're
have
not
to sign up
receiving
for
them.
them, don't you?
Right.
I don't believe that, because I get a robocall, and I've not signed up for it. I got a call from
Well,
the police informing me of whatever that's going on in town.
But at
I
one
get
point-
robocalls from Belchertown, telling me when they're voting and stuff. So, I mean, these are things that are.
Well,
I
there's
mean,
still a privacy requirement,
If-
whether it's opt-in or opt-out. I just know that because we wanted to call the whole town. We just wanted to use the police system. And they said, no, you got, you know, it's permission, police or emergency, they have a special rating. So I'm just saying, if you want to do it, fine, but also, what it's really coming down to is, what is our responsibility versus personal responsibility to at least read stuff or like go out, you know, make an effort to find out what's up, instead of, we don't have we don't have responsibility to go out and do this for 100% of everybody. So I consider robocalls intrusive, but if, you know, and I don't know if that would be a policy, Tammy, or something, if the board wanted to vote on that, but personally, I'm not for it, but
Open
that's
meet-
just me.
The open meeting laws state that I have to let the town know and I have to post it. It's posted. If you
post
look
each
at the
call-
people,
Each call?
no,
The meeting.
the meeting.
Post the
Every-
meeting,
Oh,
you don't
I
have,
understand that, yes.
If you look at the amount of people that watch the housing authority things on the TV, it's one of the highest.
Really?
So, you know, there's always over 200 times that it's been viewed. The tenants know about it. People call, when is the board meeting? I tell them when the board meeting is, and you're the same people that show up.
Okay.
A lot of people feel now that because it's being broadcasted, they don't have to come over for it. They can watch it from their home.
Well,
And
they
there's
can,
a-
but they can't complain if they got
You're right.
a comment. But do we have a system in place right
Yes, we
now?
do have a robocall.
And
How-
what do you use it for?
It's gonna be used in the
Snow plowing.
winter for
Snow
snow
plowing.
plowing, when the tenants have to come out and move their plows,
So
when there's
that's-
no electricity. You know, like we had no electricity in building 1 on a Sunday afternoon, and I had to call everybody individually. So if that happens again, now I just have to send it out to the specific building. But,
Okay.
I mean, I'm,
But we really don't want, I mean, I'd like to see people here, but I don't want to view it as the people coming here because they want to complain to us about something.
well,
That's
yeah,
not-
because
Well,
they're
that's the
not,
purpose of what we
that's
wanna
not
be
what the
here
board's for.
Right, that's what we
Exactly,
wanna
and
be
they've
here for.
learned that,
That
and now they're
is gonna-
probably
that's-
saying, we
that-
can't
Yeah.
go and
Okay.
tell them anything, because they don't do anything, because that's
Right.
what they say.
That is
Yeah.
the overriding
Yeah.
opinion.
Yep,
For 3 or 4 months, I begged Tammy to let me do postings on each door. You know how many asses that put in seats?
Yep.
It's not because they don't know.
yeah,
It's because they look at us as a useless appendage.
yeah. They've told us that.
And we, yeah, Diane's right, they've told us that.
They do, we do have tenants that watch it. When it comes up, they wait for it, and they come up, because I do get emails, like I'll have a couple later in the week, comments on it.
well, most.
So there are,
Yeah.
you know.
Good, which is good.
Yep, and,
Yep.
but they know when the meetings are.
Yep.
When you have a new tenant come in, they're told, the meetings are, you know, they're the 3rd week of the month, they're posted on the board, okay?
Nobody goes to the other meetings held in town. Watch them, nobody's at the meeting.
So I don't think that, you know, there aren't people here because they don't know about it. I think
Right.
there are not people here because they choose not to, because they can watch it some other way.
Okay, we can move on, we don't have to discuss it
Oh,
anymore.
okay, but we still need to vote on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 22nd, 2022.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Any abstentions?
Are you gonna abstain?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, so,
Gloria would abstain too, but she wasn't there.
Right.
I wasn't there, so.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the director's report because Gary, after his conference call with his client, will be calling in
Okay.
to review the financials today. So go ahead, Tammy.
So we have 3 vacancies, well, we have 2 vacancies currently here at Finns Hill. We have 1 coming up at the end of the month. We knew that this third vacancy was coming out, so we pulled a list for 2 of the handicap units. They did the power washing of the building, maintenance did here, well, actually at both properties, and they started taking trees down at Hillside that were a little too high and a little too dangerous, so we did that. The formula funding, the ARPA funds have come in. We've all have numbers on them, so we're working on getting those projects started. I do need the board to vote on the final payment for the hallway projects of $17,370 to Continental Flooring. Oh, here's Gary. Can we stop and
Yes,
read?
yes.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Tammy.
All righty, you're up.
I'm up. Okay, you got to that point.
Can everybody hear it?
Is
Yep.
it this one?
No, we're gonna actually just stop and allow you to chime in.
What are we
Okay,
looking at?
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Financials for the, that were,
Well, hopefully everybody can
annual
hear me.
operating budget?
And we've got you should have the package in front of you of the budget. I wanted to that we have the budget because there are some things that were different than
This one here.
prior year budget.
Okay, hang on, let me make sure they get the right one. Yep, it says operating budget.
Got it.
annual operating budget, page 1 of 7.
That's it. That packet
Okay.
right there.
Okay,
Yep.
there. Go ahead.
Okay, let's flip to page 3 of that. That way I can show you the major impact that we got from DHCD regarding the ANUEL, the annual non-utility expense level.
Okay.
DHCD increased that by 9% this year, which is more than we've gotten in the last few years.
See it?
So our non-utility expense level from the year before was $301,059. It's going to $328,154. Okay. The other thing that they did was our mini splits. Last year they had so much that we were allowed to increase for maintenance on that. They doubled that this year. They increased it to $8,850. I think last year was $4,400 and something, if I remember correctly. But that money went specifically into our 4430 account, which is a contract maintenance. And I think that's going to help cover the annual cost of the maintaining those units. I know a lot of the housing authorities are finding that some are more, some are less. It depends upon who you get for a contractor and what scope of service they provide. But I think Tammy's done well with that in keeping that going.
Good.
The other thing that the HCD did include in this was the new executive director salary schedule. If you remember last year, they issued it late after the budget guidelines, but they did promise within that this year they would be issuing it with the budget guidelines, which they did. So I've calculated as part of that budget package, the calculation for the executive director's salary, and I've included that in the budget.
And that's page 4 of 7?
That is it's attached to it. It's not a
It's the
page
last two
number. There
pages.
should be the calculation. Should
Okay.
be the last. My packet that I had with the last 3 pages of the
Okay.
package.
See it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what
The last 3 pages,
Last
Gloria.
2 pages.
There's also a
Appreciate it.
schedule of all positions and salaries.
yeah, I've got this on 4, that's what I
Yeah,
was
that's
looking
what
at.
I-
Yeah, that's the schedule of the positions, but the actual calculation for the executive director, which means
Is a
if you
separate-
notice that amount there, the 42,233 is a calculation from the sheet that DHCD issues. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and I did attach those 3 pages.
Okay, so we're talking about the Local Housing Authority Executive Director Salary Calculation Worksheet.
Yes, it is. That's the worksheet that DHCD issues to be calculated for the executive director. And that's what if you look at the calculation on page 3, shows the maximum salary that would be allowed.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what I've incorporated into the budget.
Okay.
The other thing the budget guidelines allowed for was a 5% increase to the other staff, which we only have one other person in the staff, the administrative staff, and I did budget the 5% increase on that. The maintenance positions are still funded at the L&I rates. I did increase the overtime and reserve for labor and industry increase because I know we're now paying overtime. And it's just that this way it can be monitored and controlled. And the L&I rates obviously will change in April. I don't know what those rates will be. I do have a feeling there might even be greater than the 3% that we've usually seen, might be 3, 4, even 5%. But we'll find that out in March.
And I remember you talked about this before. L&I, so this is that whole separate payment schedule thing. It's not a union. It was like, could you
It's not a
re-explain
union.
that?
It's labor and industries. It's because, Joe, if you remember, I don't know if you don't remember, but years and years ago, I believe it was like 1986, where they passed a law actually in Massachusetts, not even a guideline, but they passed a law that the Department of Labor and Industries will set the rates for all maintenance positions in the Commonwealth of Mass. And they've been doing that ever since.
Okay.
Now, it's the way Labor and Industries does that calculation is based upon the negotiated labor unions across the state. So in other words, the carpenters union, the mechanics union, the steel workers, they all negotiate contracts with state, but the labor and industries makes a combination of those choose to come up with the L&I rates that housing authorities will pay. I guess that's probably the simplest way I can say that that's how they do it. So the Granby Housing Authority has a rate that's set for its maintenance staff, and that's the position we get, or the amount we get every. It usually comes in March, and it has to be paid in April. So that basically is how the maintenance staff get their hourly rates. Okay.
Okay, I'm just slightly confused, so just one quick question so we could move on. But, so who is negotiating the hourly wages for our maintenance people?
Nobody negotiates it, Joe. I guess if you wanted to call Labor and Industries and ask them how they get it, but it's negotiated by the labor unions. The labor unions themselves, they create wage rates that they pay their union people at the union halls. So it's a combination of those things that would come up with a rate, and there's a derivative come out because the labor unions create a rate for their maintenance or their union employees, but those are gross wages. We are benefited, so they have a percentage of it, and they take it between the different ones. But that's how they come up with the rate. I mean, I wish I could give you the formula behind it, but that's why I said there's no one direct person negotiating the rates for Granby housing.
Okay.
So again, that's the rate that we've gotten, from that, and I'm sure Tammy could give you the letter that we get from last March. I think we got. It was received. I have a copy of it, Joe. It's from March 7th.
No, it's not that important. I was just a little confused about, unions and unions setting the rate and the good. But anyway, let's move on.
Well, That's
Yes.
what the Department of Labor, DLNI, they
Right.
actually do. They're part of the negotiations for the labor unions of the Commonwealth. So that any major construction projects that go on, those posted rates have to be used in any state contracts. And of course, right near us is UMass. So, I mean, all those contractors out there and the unions that are working, building those dorms and all the projects that are going on in UMass, I'm sure those unions have a lot to do with setting the rates within around here, the same way Boston is done. And I will tell you that when it comes to housing authorities, the labor rates down towards Boston are much higher than they are out here. But that just stands to reason, and it also has something to do with those union rates.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, that when it comes to the schedule of all our positions and salaries, that was the first start of the budget when I do that. Any questions regarding salaries before I move on?
No, I'm set.
None? Okay. The next page, which is page 5, will show you the schedule of our insurances and employee benefits.
Right.
The only one major item, actually there's 2 major items that I'm not positive of the cost because I'm estimating. And the first one is our property insurance, and that's based upon, I believe I increased that by about 8% above what it was last year. We normally get a bill very soon. It's from the Hayes Group for our property insurance. And it's usually done through a public housing notice where they'll tell us that the bill is due and payable. I budgeted $14,500. Like I said, I've got no word from Boston as to what those rates will be, but I can anticipate about an 8% increase. But we'll find that out as soon as we get the bill. Again, that property insurance is for November through October. So we should be getting that bill pretty soon.
Excuse me, does that cover both properties in Granby?
Yes, it's both our projects.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. The other is we actually know the retirement fund, that is the amount we paid to Hampshire County Retirement. That's an actual number, that appropriation of $24,125. The other would be the health insurance, which is $18,500 I've budgeted. That incorporates both our retiree and our employee. And I did increase that in case, we have the option, and I think, Joe, we talked about it. I know we're still pushing to see if we can start sharing health insurance costs for our executive director. If DHCD will allow that, that would really, it would be a benefit to our director. I know that. But that would also be shared with the other housing authority.
Okay.
Our Medicare tax and dental insurance is also provided in there. Utilities, I've pretty much level funded, or I increased a little bit of what over the last year's costs were, but I'm not real concerned about budgeting utilities because of our subsidy calculation. That is that whatever our actual utility costs are, we will be subsidized for the actual cost versus budgeted cost, which means if we actually go under the budgeted number, we end up giving subsidy dollars back. If we go over utilities, we actually get more subsidy. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I know I've talked with Tammy a little bit about, and that is our cable. Now, Tammy, are we still under contract to provide the cable for our tenants, or?
I have not been able to find a copy of the contract. It was so long ago.
Okay.
So I have spoken with somebody at Comcast, and they're trying to look into it also.
Okay, because, I mean, you are aware that DHCD is becoming adamant to not renew any cable contracts for tenants.
Yes,
it's got to become where the tenants go direct to the cable company, and they don't want that as part of the service. And there's legal reasons why. I'm not going to get into it, but I know that the board should be aware that whenever, not to renew any contracts for bulk cable service because of that. And personally, I know a lot of housing authorities that have gotten away from it. It's taken a little while, but ultimately, the towns that negotiate with the cable companies try to negotiate and get senior citizens a certain rate, which would be a lot lower. And it's actually because bulk cable is not as difficult to control for individuals because everything's digital now. Cable can be turned on and shut off, even if the cable is live in an apartment, because it's all digital. So that's just something to be aware of.
It used to be basic cable was included.
So our bulk thing is basic cable.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that can just go away?
Well, DHCD doesn't want us to renew the contract with the cable company for the bulk rate. So when the contract ends, so will the tenants will have to get a hold of the cable company and pay for their own services.
And that there's not, getting a lot of,
Okay.
Oh, there'll be a lot of.
yeah.
So, before we move on, Gary, are there any housing authorities that are helping tenants with streaming? Because, streaming is just exploding, and then you got free stations like Tubi with commercials, and, so instead of paying
well,
cable.
that's the thing, is the technology has changed so much, and it all comes down to the cable companies doing it. I know sometimes some of the authorities are trying to provide internet, Wi-Fi for the tenants. Obviously, that's got to be paid for, but we actually, in terms of the way we pay our cable for the community room, that's something that a board could consider. Using our laundry funds for internet connection, a secured internet connection for our tenants. But that's something to think about, because obviously the next thing would be if tenants they can get what they call a smart TV.
Right.
They will have everything they need without just having internet. So that's something to think about, Joe. Yes.
Okay.
I was under the impression that basic cable is included with your rent. That's what
It
I
is
It's the
right
$18 that they pay additional.
So there's an extra fee.
Right.
Okay.
So we would reduce everybody's
Yeah,
rent by
okay.
18.
I just thought it was part of it, and all of a sudden it's
Well, we
gone.
wouldn't reduce the rent, we would just do away with the $18 cable bill that they pay.
Right.
Oh, okay, because that's a separate bill.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I see.
Right. It's separate. It's
It's,
truly
okay,
separate right now.
I get
Yep.
it. Okay.
And did basic cable include any internet?
No.
No.
Okay.
So the other thing that's part of this budget is that, and it goes back a few years where we talked about, and Joe, I know you're part of it, is that getting the rebate that we got for the use of the energy efficient mini splits. Well, that money's finally did come through, and we got it at $61,000 some odd dollars. That's reflected in the front page of the budget. If you look at account number 3691, that account is 85,208. Well, that 61,000 is included as part of that. The other part of that line item is the solar energy credits that we get. That's part of that account. And so those funds that come into 3691 are available to the housing authority for use. It kind of adds to our reserves, and then we can budget to spend those reserves. And I know, Joe, we've talked about the issue that DHCD may want to share that rebate because of the cost. But one of the things that this budget does is it presents to DHCD our planned expenditures of that, so that hopefully they won't sit back and say, we want to take some of it back as long as you're using it for housing authority purposes. So if you flip on to page 6 of 7, which is the schedule of non-routine expenses, that's where Tammy has given us the items that we're going to do. One is security for the maintenance building. That's anticipated at $5,000. She also isolated, I believe, 3 or 4 apartments that need flooring, $12,000. Also, electrical service to the maintenance building of $5,000. And then the final big one under the betterments and additions is to pave the parking lot and the roadway to the new maintenance building, and that's $48,000. So that's really where we're anticipating using those funds that we received from the mini splits. And if we flip to page 7 of 7, it kind of gives you the breakdown of where we are in our operating reserve. And our operating reserve at the end of this fiscal year was $171,946. And if we do everything in the budget that's in front of you, we actually would be adding to our reserve of $7,848, leaving our reserve at 65%. And 65% is a very good, financially stable reserve level. Again, the categories that you want to make sure we don't want to be below 35%, and we don't want to be over 70%. 70% is the threshold that DHCD holds, that if you have a project that needs to be done or anything like an emergency, if there are funds available from DHCD, if your reserve is over 70%, they're going to tell you to use your reserve first. If it's under 35%, they're going to want to have tighter control of the use of your budget. So 65% is really a good level to be. And that's where we're anticipating to be.
Great.
So from that, I guess if there are any specific questions, that's a good overall picture of our budget for the upcoming year.
Okay, just a quick question on that.
Yeah.
But should we spend some of that money to maybe get us down to 50%?
If you need to, yes. Or if you want to, if you have some other items you want added, you certainly could. Now, if you read the budget guidelines, they talk about use of operating reserve by board approval versus budget approval, and because we're over 35%, if something comes up that needs to be done during the year that's not in the budget, you can vote to authorize to use that reserves, so long as the reserve will not go below 35%. So yes, you actually can do that.
So the board can actually specify a project, and does DHCD have any control over that at all? Outside of this?
Only if it's more, I mean, there's some constraints in it, but if the project is under $10,000, it does not have to be in the budget before you approve it to spend, so long as that after that expenditure, your reserve does not go below 35%. So I guess my thoughts are, do you have something in mind that you think we should be putting in the budget?
$5,000 for ADA compliance for our
Community room bathroom.
community room bathroom.
Okay, I mean, before we submit this budget, I can add that right to that.
Wait, $5,000 for a new toilet?
It's not a new toilet,
No,
it's
we
the
have to
floor.
comply,
You have
we're
to-
gonna do full
So
ADA
there's more to
compliance.
do in there.
Well, yeah, you have to dig the floor up and the piping.
Because
not-
it's a slab.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, okay. So, okay, yeah, so,
Joe, add that before we submit this budget as an amendment, and I will tell you that basically what will happen is we'll increase that extraordinary expenditure, the 4610 account,
okay,
from 22 to 27,
Okay.
And then the operating reserve, page 7, that would only be 2848, or so it'd be 19794, 5,000 less, divided by 2. That would bring our reserve to 63%.
You're
Well-
using 5,000, is that what you're?
Well, that's what we're budgeting for
That's
because
what
of
I,
the.
yeah, no, that,
Yeah. So it brings us to 63%.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's
So
get it in the
There's
budget.
obviously anything too in between, if anything ever else comes up, before we actually have to submit a budget revision or get permission. You guys still have authorization to approve those during the year.
Okay.
Gary?
Yep.
Um, to clean our mini splits, we have the 8,000, but it's 18,000 to do the inside units, and it's 18,500 to do the inside units, and it's 8,800 to do the outside units, because this is year 5 of the condensers, and the condensers need to be cleaned. Can that get added in?
Okay. Yeah, if we probably should.
So we have
because
to
I
add
think
18 more. Okay.
I mean, we have $51,000 in our contract cost anyways, and we have $10,000 for boiler maintenance there. But you're saying that this is a special cleaning?
Well, so we've always had trouble with our mini splits, and they get dirty, and they're at the point now where they need to be done again, and it's
18.
to have all 75 units done. It's going to be it's 18,500 to do it. The outside
That's over and above the 8,000 for the
Yep.
outside.
Yep, the outside condensers, there are 59 of them, and it's 150 a piece to do those.
Yep. Okay, what I would say then we should put a line item under extraordinary maintenance for $18,000 then to clean for these special cleanings.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're looking at 25,000 basically.
Yeah.
Right. The other amount will come out of our current contract cost, which is the ongoing. Okay, so if we do that, then, which I will do, I'll add that 18. So we're talking 19794 minus 156,794. Divide that by 277.7. That would get our reserve down to 56%.
Okay. So
Okay, it doesn't put us in anything below 35, but I do agree that if this is a one-time cleaning that's coming up in terms of that cost, we've got to add that.
Well, those cleanings, we're spending that money every year.
That's every year.
Because these mini splits are just,
They're a mistake.
they are.
They have
Yes.
They get dirty and the mold grows because the drainage was never done
Right.
correctly.
And I do, Tammy, I think this is something that I think I had the discussion with you that many authorities that are having these mini splits are having this type of problems in terms of maintenance. And I don't know what the answer is across the state. I just know that obviously the energy czars of the Commonwealth they want these. They want them all in, but I think these are things that are coming up that have to be addressed. But
Okay, so are you saying for this year we would go extraordinary, but next year, because again...
maybe next year, Joe, maybe they'll realize that 8,000 isn't enough, and maybe they should be providing 16,000. Double that. They doubled it from last year to this year because a lot of people are not squawking, but basically saying, that number's not enough.
Mhm.
And so who knows? Maybe when they issue guidelines next year, they'll know that it's got to be up there at that level.
Right, because I want to use that as the case for if they want to siphon off any of the $61,000, again, I want to use that as the case in the argument for keeping the $61,000 because we're having to do this every year.
The solar credit?
Until they
Absolutely,
fully
Joe.
fund it,
That's,
so-
so
Okay.
needed
Okay,
for that conversation to exist. So yes, for that, I think with the budget, we'll add those, and it will show our reserves at 56%.
mm-hmm,
Okay,
okay,
Okay? So, I mean, if you want the board vote for the budget, it doesn't change with those. Just include that as part of the minutes of the presentation that you have in front of you, that these items will be added before we actually submit the budget.
okay. So what you're saying is we can vote to approve the budget and specify these two amendments?
Those two additions, yep.
Do I need to specify the line item and everything, or just,
No, because, you know why? Because the actual budget certification pages that Tammy has,
Mhm.
it does not change the operating income or the expenses, because these are outside, these are extraordinary. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it will include the expenses. So, Tammy, do you have that motion, or that page filled out?
No, I haven't done that one yet. I just have the
Okay,
signing pages.
Then I think if I read the budget, the way that it should be, because I'm going to just figure it out here, 555, 2 plus the 5 plus the 18. Okay. 578, 452. Okay, then if you want, I can read a motion and then someone can accept it. I would move that the Granby Housing Authority vote to approve the upcoming fiscal year budget ending June 30th, 2023, to include total operating revenue of $611,300, with total operating expenses of $578,452, thereby requesting a subsidy of $121,492, and also to incorporate that the executive director's salary be at $42,233, to be submitted to DHCD for its review and approval.
somebody
I'll
needs,
second that.
okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Sorry.
did you have a
I have a
question?
question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Does that mean that the maintenance plan, which I'm gonna ask you to remind me about, is a done deal if we accept the budget, or is what we do with the money still?
We don't control the salary for the maintenance.
I know,
No,
I'm
it's
talking about
where-
the building
where
and the
the-
paving.
No, those are, Gary, if,
Yep,
we can change what we spend that $60,000 on, correct?
if need be, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a plan.
Okay.
I just need to be
If,
reminded about what
why, are
that
you
is.
thinking that you may not want to do the paving, or what?
No, I just, Diane
had a question
just
about
had a
it,
question
yeah.
on it.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, no, this
Yes.
is just a budget for the allocation of funds. Believe me, when you get to actually doing that work, you will be approving contracts or not approving contracts for that. It's still, that will still have to go out to bid,
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay?
good point, Diane.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, Gary.
Okay, Tammy, I will get those forms up to you with those corrections, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Gary.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep,
Yep,
bye.
bye. Okay, and just one other point is we, as he mentioned, because we're above the, as long as we don't go below 35%, we as a board could still, on our own, introduce something. And as long as it met the ACD guidelines and we didn't go below the 35% for the annual, that money gets spent. So there's still some flexibility for the board, but this is what our plan is. So. Okay.
I don't know whether you want to stay on.
Yeah, could you just tell me about that again, the maintenance? Where's the building gonna be?
So the
Okay.
the building up there,
Okay.
where they're taking that building down and they're putting a new building up. And that was funded through the ARPA funds.
Oh, okay.
And then, but what it didn't include is it doesn't include the driveway to get up there.
Yeah.
Or the electrical. So those are separate. And then what we wanted to do was pave, we thought we would pave over here in the tenants, or the visitors parking lot.
Are you gonna pay the whole parking lot or just
No,
just those areas?
just that area.
Yeah.
And then, haven't decided, I personally would prefer that it look like sidewalks going up to the building instead of it being a driveway tarred. I think would take away the look of the building, and, so.
So you want concrete instead of?
Yeah, so we're not sure on how we're gonna go with that, but,
Okay.
we haven't gotten that far yet.
That's not gonna be till spring anyway,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's
Okay.
just a ways away on that,
Okay.
so.
And where's it gonna be placed, the driveway?
So it would be in between buildings 3 and 4. That's why I don't want it to look like an actual driveway. I don't want people to feel that they can drive up there. It would just be the maintenance staff that would be going up and down.
I anticipate a lot of grief over losing that pine tree that sits between the two buildings, just FYI.
Yeah.
Too many roots to dig it up, but
So that's, that would be, do you want me to continue, or do you want to go to something else, or?
no, let's,
Do you need a
okay.
vote on the hallway project? Do you want that vote
Yeah,
taken
so
now?
I need a vote on the hallway project to approve the $17,307.
I'll make a motion to approve the $17,307 to finish off the payment for the hallway project.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Okay, the
What's next?
spending, we just talked about with Gary.
Mhm.
We had our PMR last week with Carolina and Chad. Things seem to have gone very well. One of the questions, of course, they do things differently now. One of the questions was I asked Chad, was on the ceiling fans, because one year it was okay and the next year it wasn't okay. And how can it be okay for so many years and then all of a sudden it's not okay? So he is actually looking into whether we have to move them or we don't have to move them again, and he's gonna get back to us on that. But all in all, they were very pleased with the PMR. We do have the office part of it. The maintenance portion, there's a glitch in the computer system, so as soon as they fix it, they will get us our report out on that.
And is that, so what about corrective action regarding the tar rating for the 705s?
So
Where were you, Joe?
I'm sorry. That's still part of the PMR, right?
right, that's part of the PMR. So the corrective action is I needed to respond to her in writing.
Okay, so that's it.
So the tar, so what I've done with the tar for the tenants that are behind on their rent is they've applied for ARPA funds, not ARPA funds, RAFT payment, which is the resident assistance funding thing through the state of Mass. One of the things that they have to turn in with I didn't print them out.
Oh, okay.
Because I sent them to you guys.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I printed out everything that she emailed, so.
So one of the things is you have to have a 14-day notice to quit because you're behind on your rent. There are a couple other things that they have to go in, so we provided them, the tenants, with all of that paperwork, and they've all applied for the RAF payments. They should hear within the 10 days, and then that will clear up all of their balances. The checks come payable to the housing authority directly,
So this
not
is
to the
gonna pay them
tenants.
back.
So this pays their back
Rent.
rent that they're behind on.
But it doesn't pay their rent going forward?
No,
Okay.
and they're only allowed 10,000 a year, so it's not something they can, just, hey, I'm gonna not,
Okay.
and, so there are guidelines that they have to follow
Well,
on
it's
now.
still a
So
good
that,
chunk of money.
so that will clear, the
Okay.
majority of them up. We have one tenant who has decided not to do it, so they have until Friday.
Or what? If they don't do anything by Friday, what happens?
Then
Notice to
I
quit?
start the proceedings to evict them.
For eviction.
We do have a balance of, and I don't remember whether we did this last month or not, but we do have a balance of $64.40 for one of the tenants that was here that passed away, and I just need to write it off.
So I need
So
a
I-
motion to write off $64
$64.40,
in rent. Is that a deceased,
yes.
for a deceased tenant's account? Something like that, so,
So moved.
okay. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you can write off 64.40. So,
So that's that, that would be that. So just so you know, the toilet here, the $5,000 is because they have to dig. They don't know, they can't just, first they have to take the wall apart, because that's where it's a wall mount. They don't believe that they can lower it, but if they can lower it, the amount, then they'll lower it to where it's in compliance. If not, then they have to dig the flooring up, and depending on how the piping went. Nobody can figure out how the piping is.
Who's doing that?
So
have
far,
to
we've
walk
had
the board.
Fontaine look at it, but we haven't, we haven't decided on who's gonna actually do the work.
Was that a bid project?
Well, no, it's not.
it's not mandatory because it's under
Okay.
10,000.
Oh,
so.
okay, okay.
So it's, it is a work in progress. It's
How long has
just
it been there?
that, since 1974, when they built the building.
Really?
Mhm. When they built it, so we had an architect come in and look at it, one of them that was here for the floor, or for the hallway, and we had him look at it, and he got a hold of the architectural access board, and the lady said that when it was built, it was in compliant. It's, their recommendation was to actually do nothing until there's a formal complaint to their board and the ADA, and then they'd reach out to us and they would investigate it, and then if they found that we did have to do it, then we would have to replace it. And that was the recommendation I got from them.
Is that going to do the urinal as well, or is that?
The urinal isn't
it's
an
a
issue.
separate issue?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The urinal isn't an issue,
Yes, I understand.
yeah. So, that's that.
Okay, what else do we have?
And then the only other thing, well, it's under policy, but that's really all I have.
Well, this is mentioned in it, yeah? Suggested we use the attached policy. Is it the
Yeah.
anti-bullying one?
That's the anti-bullying
It's on the
one.
agenda a little further.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
So
All
we're
right.
waiting to,
Okay.
or were you supposed to accept this, or we're waiting?
well, this
No, we
is,
haven't done that yet.
yeah, this is what the
Okay.
attorney has submitted. I don't know if you had a chance to already read it, but
No.
we'll give you a few minutes to sort of read it, but this is what he's suggesting that we adopt,
Okay,
our attorney, so.
okay.
So, so after this, we gotta do what the bond. Yeah, so we gotta vote on these two,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Now we're including visitors in this. That's new from our other one.
And it's on
Yeah.
our property, yeah.
And people who witness must report within 48 hours?
That was in my original.
Or what? or it's no longer valid, or?
It's any staff.
It's staff.
It's staff.
if you work here, so
It
it's
says-
her, it's the secretary,
Okay.
it's
Any
it's
staff
the
member
two
who
maintenance
witnesses.
people. It's
Just
not.
staff, not a, so I was
it's
thinking,
not
how would that work
tenants.
with a tenant?
No.
Okay.
Tammy, so then, if someone brings something to you, are you the determining one? Who determines whether this is actual harassment or not? Is that you?
Yes.
It says behavior to the report, behavior to the
Yeah.
executive director.
Yep.
Yep. And if they, if they don't feel, the way I read it was if they don't feel that I'm taking it serious and they don't like my decision, basically, they can get a hold of the Commission Against
Well,
Discrimination.
that's gonna change everything, and you involve them.
Hmm?
That's a
Oh,
big
I know.
deal.
Yeah,
That's a
but they have
big
the
deal
right
with
to do,
Right.
but you have to
Right.
notify them, they have the right to do
Well, it
it.
also
Yeah, I
says
know,
they can
but-
call the police and report it to the police.
Right.
Only if it's assault
Serious.
or threat,
Threats are solved.
serious claims, not, he's not wearing a shirt.
Right.
Well,
A
like I
lot of
said,
what we have here is
When you put the
not.
policy in, it just, you put it in and then you see how things go, you know?
Right.
See how it works. Is it working? Is it doing what we want it to do? And then gives us a chance to revisit policies if we need to, which is why we need to revisit policies on a regular basis. Otherwise, it just gets ahead of us and you don't know, is it working, is it not working?
Right.
Well,
So that's the purpose of them.
The bottom line here is what we've said right along, that if people do not report it, you can't do anything about it. It has to be reported.
Well, it's got to
By
be
somebody.
reported, but a lot of what goes on here isn't harassment, but they're saying it's harassment.
Yeah.
What you find it to be harassing, Diane may not find to be harassing.
no.
So it's,
All I'm saying is that if it's not reported, you can't do anything about it, whether
it's up
it
to the-
is or not.
Is that
Right.
verbal
Right.
or written?
Right, what you're saying is it's up to the tenant to
Yeah.
report it. You've defined, basically on the US Constitution, as you read this, race, color, creed, all of that kind of thing, because it is harassment, it's not just bullying. Those are two different factors. I mean, bullying is a special type of harassment, I guess. And all you're sitting here saying is, okay, it's either the tenant reports it, but there is a responsibility for any staff member here, if they observe that, to report it to the executive director.
But we just put in a policy for the written, so does it have to be written, or does it have to be just spoken to?
it's got to be, they've got to put it in writing. If they come in and talk to me about it, then I ask them to put it in writing.
It has,
Because
They
then
don't?
then what?
If they don't, is it,
Then there's nothing
yeah. The only way, right, that you would do anything is if you observed it yourself.
Right, right. But even like I'm always telling the staff to put it in writing. If they witness something in, a tenant's apartment or something going on with a tenant, put it down in writing. And we have a form in the office and they fill it out, the date, time, and they write down there what they witnessed and they sign it. And then I have them.
I don't think this says that, though. It just says, you report.
Well, this
it.
is the policy. What this is
Right. But I mean,
defining
we
is,
can-
this is defining who is a protected class and trying to define the types of behavior that would qualify as harassment,
Okay.
So we can
So,
add.
I mean,
Must report such harassment to the executive director. It doesn't say how, is what I'm saying.
So we can change it and add in writing if you choose to, or
I
you
don't-
can leave it.
I don't know.
I mean, but when they come in, I will ask them to put it in writing, because then at that point, it's there and it's in their writing, and there's nothing that can come back and say, I didn't say that, I didn't,
I get
right.
that. I
It
get
can't be a
that.
formal, because legally, if you don't put it in writing, it's hearsay.
Yeah.
So there's no action that could ever be taken.
And it
So
could
why
be-
didn't the lawyer put that in there
Yeah.
in writing? Why didn't he say, he or she say in writing?
I don't know, when they sent it to me, this was another housing authority's policy, and she said, this is a really good one. I would suggest this one.
Okay, so all we have to
So-
do is add a line that says,
All I have to do is two
Well-
words, in writing. That's
You know,
it.
you
I
know,
don't think
so,
that's gonna slow them down on that. They're gonna hesitate to do it, but somehow.
Well, they
can't-
are now.
They
Well-
can't sit there and just spew themselves.
Well,
and
you know
what
what,
she's supposed to do.
The stuff that I get, it's just tenants to tenants.
Yeah.
Not, they don't get along.
Yeah.
Neighbors that don't get along.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, you know what? There has to be guidelines and there has to be, because I don't have enough hours in the day
Yep.
to,
Yep.
so.
you know.
What I would say would be, let's not specify it in writing for the simple factor that if they bring it to her, she's gonna filter it. They may think it's something else, she may think, but then she can tell them, okay, that's how you feel. For us to move forward, you gotta put it in writing, you gotta put your complaint in writing, and now we can properly move forward.
Does that work for you?
So,
Yeah,
so let's not modify it.
Yeah, but I mean,
Okay.
you put 48 hours here. What if Tammy's not here for 2 days and all of a sudden it happened, it's already null and void if she.
well, it's the staff member. It says any housing authority staff member
Staff,
who
it's
witnesses or
not.
becomes aware of a tenant-on-tenant harassment has to report it to me within 48 hours. It's not tenant, you know, like,
They can call her up and tell her.
right.
Yeah.
Doesn't say anything in writing.
Leave a
know, it-
message on the machine, yeah.
Because that's only related to the staff. I mean,
Yeah.
it's at the option of the tenant on when or whatever, you know, they want to bring it up. But I would normally think that once you have a policy, if somebody feels that way, they're going to bring it up.
So the paragraph above, it says, any tenant who believes that he or she is being bullied or harassed under any circumstance should immediately report the behavior to the executive director. So how are they reporting that to you?
So if they, you know, if they stop by the office and I'm not here, then, you know, they can either, if they don't want to put it in writing right then or there, then they can come back when I'm here and,
But do they call you? What if it just happened?
no,
don't-
they,
But should report, immediately report the behavior. So how do they do that?
they would come into the office.
But
We
well,
can
you're not
take
here.
immediately
You're right.
out.
I'm not here. I'm not here on weekends
So-
either, so
so
they
how do
would
they
have
get-
to,
If
They
we
don't
take-
call you, right? You don't give them a number to call you.
no, they don't have my cell phone number and I like
So-
that way.
So they need, there should be a form that they need to fill
Right.
out there.
Which
Gotta
they
be
have.
something.
And you
Which
could
he has.
take
I would hate to
immediately
do
out,
this,
just
but
put
we could put
report.
it on the
Take
police.
immediately out,
Yeah.
and if you
Okay.
could just report, I mean, you know,
I can take out immediately.
that would take the,
Or I
48
could
hours
change it
out.
and say, should immediately report it to the office.
Well, is there
Um,
anyone here over the weekend?
No, there's nobody
No.
here on the
They
weekends.
can't.
No, these are part-time jobs.
I could just report.
So what do you suggest?
I think they
Jim?
need to put something in writing, because you can't just spew this stuff, and someone's gotta be sit there writing down what you're saying. It's like, you're right, you gotta put something in writing to say what really happened here, because you can't, if they hadn't said that, then
See, but what I'm suggesting is by not specifying it and writing it, but leaving it to Tammy, I mean, I don't know if I even want to put this burden on Tammy, but she can filter it based on everything and say, okay, are you sure this is harassment? You're not, I'm absolutely sure. Okay, then we got to put it in writing to move forward. Okay, well, yeah, maybe you're really right. Maybe it doesn't really qualify as harassment, so we don't pursue that and we try to find another remedy or
I don't
hope
think
that they
they're
get
gonna say-
along.
I think everything should be in writing,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah,
No,
it
I'm
can't-
just saying
it
to
can't
go
be,
forward.
I told
Okay.
Tammy about it, you know?
Right.
Well, no, what did you tell her?
Okay.
I
right.
told her what's in writing.
Okay, so you don't even want a phone call, you just want to go right to.
Well,
you
I mean,
just
we have
submit it in
tenants, like,
writing.
if something happens here and we do have tenants that will call the office, and they're, you know, if I'm not here, Shelley will listen to them and say, okay, you know, put it in writing and drop it off in the office, and I'll leave it on her desk. And we have tenants that do that. They will put something in writing, or they'll send me an email. You know, so we just tell them to put it in writing, and then when I get here, I will look into whatever they're saying, call them, talk to them, and,
So they could put it in writing and send you an email.
Okay,
You
all,
got a copy of it.
all complaints must be submitted in I'm adding a sentence, in writing, before any action can be taken. I don't know if you want to specify that, we can just leave it as in writing. So
Just leave it, and just put it in writing.
all complaints
Must be submitted in writing,
in writing, period.
period.
Okay, you don't have to say anything else.
Right.
And you can add that,
Yeah.
and we can move on. Anything else?
Tammy, do you want to,
Do you guys have a definition for bullying or for harassment?
yes, that it's stated in here. So once we approve this, my opinion is that each tenant would get a copy.
Oh, yeah, they always do.
Yeah.
And then you will have it to refer to.
Goes out, it gets handed out to
But it
everybody.
does have a paragraph that describes what harassment or bullying are, you know.
Do you have an idea of what the consequence is?
The consequence will, first you have to put it in writing. I don't know how many,
Here it is.
how many people have to put it in writing to a specific incident before they can be tolerated or whatever.
It says bullying or
Yes.
harassing conduct by a tenant will result in action up to and including eviction in this
That's right.
paragraph.
And earlier it says, any tenant who believes that he or she is being bullied or harassed under any circumstances should immediately report the behavior to the executive director, who will promptly investigate. Any serious claims of threats and/or assaults will be reported to the police. So maybe that's where we just add the phrase should be immediately well, because they don't want, I'm reading this as, they don't want people to just wait until they put it in writing. It takes a lot longer. If there's really a bullying action going on, they want to get an immediate, I'm reading this as they want to get more of an immediate response to deal with it. But anyway.
Any tenant who believes that he or she is being bullied, harassed, or under any circumstances should report the behavior to the executive director in writing, who will
Okay.
investigate. Any serious claims or threats and/or assaults should be reported to
Will
police.
be.
I think it should say should be.
Yeah, so we don't need
Because
to,
if somebody is,
Oh, you mean
you know,
other
if
people,
somebody's
okay.
bullying and
Yep,
threatening you, you need to call the police,
No,
because the
it doesn't say
police.
bullying, it says threats or assaults only.
Right.
They don't, the police aren't gonna do anything
Doing
about
with the
bullying.
bullying, well, that's, I know, but that's what I'm saying, it's,
There's no law.
they need to call the police
Bullying.
department on that.
If somebody threatens to hurt you or damage your, scratch your car or, break your windshield or I'll break your leg or trip you or do whatever, any kind of an assault or a threat of an assault, they should just call the police. Maybe what you should have in there is the number for the police department.
911.
Well,
With-
maybe you could just put that in parentheses.
I don't know about 911.
No.
I mean, no. 911, a car ran into my house, crashed into my house, that's a 911. But someone, if they've assaulted you, yes. Threaten you,
Just call the police. Don't look
Yeah,
anything else
just
in
put
there.
the police number in there, but 467 something, blah, 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 and they could just call.
any
That way they-
tenant who believes that he or she is being bullied or harassed under any circumstances should report the behavior to the, in writing, is that what you did?
Yep.
After behavior in writing, to the executive director, who will investigate.
yeah.
Any serious claims or threats or assaults should be reported to the Granby police, I guess.
That's where I would put the phone number in, because then they'll have to, they don't know what the phone number is. I don't know, I have to go in my telephone book and find it. Just put it in parentheses.
Okay, well, I don't know the phone number that you.
467-9222.
9222?
Just put that in
Okay.
there.
So put that in parentheses, 4679222.
And I would
Okay?
make sure you bring a copy up to the police department so they have one there, so chief and everybody else is aware of it. There'll be no surprises.
Tammy?
What?
How about just being harassed without being physically hurt or?
Well, that's what harassment is. I mean,
That's
for
what you put in
example,
writing.
for
If
example,
somebody's using foul language and,
So-
you know, saying something nasty to you.
yeah, right here, it says, "The conduct covered by this policy includes but is not limited to," favorite legal term, "behavior, language, property damage, writings based on actual or perceived race, color, religion, national origin, sex, age, ancestry, disability, or sexual orientation, which can create an intimidating, hostile, humiliating, or offensive housing environment for residents or visitors." Bullying or harassment based on religion, ethnicity, or race includes the use of degrading, demeaning, insulting, abusive, or threatening language which relates to a person's race, ethnicity, or religion, graffiti, property damage, slogans, or other visual displays which contain racial, ethnic, or religion or religious-based slurs or insults, demeaning remarks, jokes, or gestures based on race, ethnic origin, or religion, or racial, ethnic, or religious stereotypes. So,
Is that something that's gonna be posted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as the
Yes.
board,
okay.
it'll go out.
Once we approve the final wording,
Yeah.
every tenant will get a copy.
I think we did it, right?
Yes, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Wait,
paper
can I
in
ask
front
a
of us.
question first?
Go ahead.
I don't understand the raising a false or malicious allegation. Well,
That's harassment.
I know, but under what circumstances would that happen?
Somebody
happens
make
here.
something up.
It
Somebody
does.
might lie
It
about
does.
somebody's
Oh,
behavior.
Happens
I
here all
mean,
the
It
time.
happens,
Oh,
and it has happened
Unfortunately, it
recently.
happens
you
too
mean they
often.
come and report something that isn't
Mhm.
true?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know what they were getting at.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Start with the basic premise, everybody lies.
Do you have,
Okay,
is there
Dr.
a
House.
motion on the floor?
I
Yes.
started to
Yes.
make it, but yeah, I'll make it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That's all right, we could have had discussion anyway about it, but
Okay.
make a
So-
motion to approve the Granby House Authority anti-bullying harassment policy as we've just discussed, and it is in front of us with the changes made.
Absolutely seconded.
Discussion, where did you put the change?
It's on, you see the such behavior, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Fifth paragraph at the end.
and
Any-
then the last
Oh, I
sentence.
see where, the
Any
big one
tenant.
where it says,
Yeah.
It says any tenant who believes that he or she is being bullied or harassed under any
yeah, I see
circumstances
that's what I got, yeah.
should report the behavior in writing to the executive director, who will investigate. Any serious claims of threats and/or assault should be reported to the Granby Police Department, 467-9222.
Okay?
Those are the only two changes,
Yeah.
That's,
or
yep,
additions.
Yeah.
yep. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
Okay, you'll get a copy of it.
As soon as possible.
So the treasurer's report?
Okay, everybody got the treasurer's report?
Not big changes, huh? From 100,000 to 197
We
in the
got,
checking account.
That's all the state
well,
money.
that's that money from the,
The 61,000
Yeah.
from the mini splits, right?
mhm.
What's the other difference?
Did you have any more comments before you leave?
No, that was here for the bullying.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm not quite sure why we might have gotten money from the state that,
Problem.
you know,
Okay.
if we got reimbursed for money that we spent out on a capital improvement plan, that it would come in that way.
Okay. Can I ask, how come we're losing so many tenants, like in a bunch?
2 have moved into assisted living facilities and 1 passed away.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
What about on Amherst Street?
We haven't lost anybody up
Is that
there.
a
Yeah.
real
Okay.
fire situation there? The one
There's one.
Friday?
One down, yeah.
Friday coming or last Friday?
This coming Friday.
On the, there's a small point, on the second line, investment, what's MSDT?
Mass something depository treasury, it's a company that handles our investments.
I think
How come
that's
they don't-
Mass Mutual.
How come there's no change in from August to September if they give you interest and stuff? How come there's no change?
There's never really any change on it.
They don't give you any money on that.
No.
No, I think they just hold our money.
That investment, we really jumped up, what, a few cents?
Geez, we made 62 cents.
Something like that, yeah.
Well,
Well, it's better than the other one.
well, as the interest rates stabilize upward, I guess we'll earn maybe
Just
$1.
curious, I just noticed this. How come there's
Yeah.
no change in that? It's an investment, all investments get
Yeah.
better.
So are we doing 2 handicap units? Are we getting those ready to run?
We only have possession of one of them, and they're working on it, but they have
Did the souls move out?
not yet, not completely.
She's still there?
Mhm. They'll be out by the end of the month, so.
So the, one quick question, the 3 floors we're gonna redo, are those in any of these vacant?
Yep, they're all the vacant units.
They're all the vacant units that you, so that's something that we're gonna do immediately so we can get them rented.
Yeah, in fact,
Okay.
he's coming in tomorrow to do one of the apartments, and
Okay.
then he's gonna bring his schedule for the other
Who's
apartments.
doing that? You contract that out?
Yeah, I don't remember what the man's name, what the
Okay, but
company's
it's
name
not
is.
in-house.
No,
No.
we don't have the time.
What are they doing? Replacing?
Replacing the flooring.
The linoleum or the wood?
We're actually going with the wood snap. It's cheaper than the VCT tiling.
Okay.
Gee, you can do my kitchen while you're at it, Tammy.
I think that through the,
Is that?
especially in the handicap units, the flooring will, the wheelchair units, the flooring will hold up better than the VCT stuff is.
Are they easy to clean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they'll be easier in between. We're not gonna have to have them stripped and waxed, and, so
Yeah.
it'll be, in the long run,
Yes.
it'll be better for us.
Is
Yeah.
that the vinyl plank flooring?
Yeah, it's actually a little better grade than what they put in the office,
It's easy to take care of, yeah.
yeah.
Any updates of the laundry machines you're looking into?
Oh, so the
Washing
laundry
machines?
machine, we added the front load washer.
How's that working?
It's $2 a load because it's basically a load and a half. I haven't heard any complaints yet. There's money in the machine, so somebody's using it.
Good.
So,
The
I haven't
dryers
heard
are
anything.
okay?
I haven't heard anything,
yeah, no,
not anything negative.
Yeah, no, all 8 machines are working.
Everything's working. And somewhere I read something about the quarters and the bank, that.
Oh, yeah, so I mean,
difficult.
I literally take the quarters, because Peoples doesn't have a machine unless I want to go to Island Pond Road in Springfield. So I go to UMass Savings, which is where I have my account, and I deposit the cords there. She gives me the money for it with the slip, and I go to Peoples and I deposit it in Peoples, and Gary gets slips from both places.
Do you roll them? You have to roll
No.
them?
We can buy a rolling machine, and I can take the time to roll them and turn them into the bank at Peoples, but, which we might, end up coming down to do, but UMass right now seems to be working,
Good.
doing that.
Okay.
As long as the money gets in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I think we just have the warrant report.
Yeah, the quarterly reports are in there also, if you want to
Yeah,
look at them,
yeah.
but we don't
So,
need to do anything.
the quarterly statements, the only thing that Gloria, you had asked that aging reports accounting be included, so we also have this that shows what our delinquencies are.
Okay, where am I looking for that?
On the quarterly operating
On the
statement.
Quarterly operating statement at
The
the end.
second or third page, I don't know,
Oh.
there you go.
I don't,
So it's the aging, it
It's
just
the
tells you
third
how
page.
long they were behind.
Yes.
I don't see that
Right?
on this.
Okay. Well, it doesn't, here, you can look at that.
No, it's under,
No, I don't
Okay.
it's on,
here.
under the
Is it
quarterly.
in here?
No, it's
No.
under the quarterly report.
This building.
Oh, okay, I
building.
put
Okay.
that
Is that
away.
the
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, yeah.
Yeah, that's a mini split. And there's
We
one,
use no oil.
no, it's all electric.
When they're, I'm curious, when they're cleaning these mini splits, isn't there something they can adjust or fix? What's the real
It's
issue?
the
I'm not
drainage.
an expert on.
The- When they put the pipes in to drain them, it's not in not all cases, it's not just a direct access down. It's they're going around and they're going in and there's bends and there's crimps and
Can-
it's.
Can adjustments be made?
No.
Can't be
And then
made?
there's, I
It's
mean,
moisture.
there are housing authorities that have the same units installed by the same people all along, the same plumbers, the same electricians, the same everything, and they have absolutely no problems. And then we have ours.
That's what I'm saying, 'cause
And
usually
there-
I just hear things that, I don't know, I'm not an expert on them, but people who do have them say, there's really very little you have to do to them.
Right.
So then I'm just like, but here, it's just like, it's
Yeah.
an ongoing,
It is. They're supposed to
And-
not have to, you're not supposed to have to clean them or do anything to them for
Right.
every other year, and we're doing it every year. And then they go in and they pull the screen and they clean the screen, but then you have to have them
and when did those go in?
2018, right before I started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
they
this
were-
was Nancy Brown. This was one of the, because I had been relatively new to the committee, and this was one of those state things, so she just put, okay, we need to
And
approve
I know,
this.
what, who
Right.
put them in?
Rise Engineer was involved with it, and Hensor did the panels.
And wasn't Rise
And-
back here at a certain time?
Yeah, oh, they came back, they've
And-
been,
They,
and,
Could it be our water?
no.
No, just, so have they ever,
So-
someone ever told them that they
Oh, yeah.
were put in wrong, and what do they say? Just-
They've done all they can with them. It's not like they did anything wrong with the insulation, it's just the way, it's just a machine, it's the individual tenants, and are they using candles, are they spraying things? There's a whole variety
Well,
of
they have nothing to do with
things.
getting water in the lines.
I understand that, but according to them, there's absolutely nothing. Greg Abbey's been involved in it, DHCD's, and everybody this is just,
So it's
There's no
really
fix.
the way it was installed incorrectly.
our feeling is it's just, there's.
Is it every one of them that are having problems?
Not every one of them are as bad as the others. There are some tenants that are really, really bad all the time, and then there's some that you can look at it and there's hardly anything
Okay,
in there, so it's,
just, it is what it is, I
it
guess.
is what
right
it
now.
is,
Yeah,
it-
it's too bad.
okay,
warrant report?
so last thing we need to approve is the warrant report.
Warrant, okay.
Okay,
Anything unusual on here, Tammy?
No, not really.
Okay.
The deferred comp is in twice. We had some issues with our website for them, so that's in there a couple times.
Who went to the conference? Is that just one person?
No, the conference was, the two of them went,
Two of who?
Jim and Dakota
Oh,
went.
okay. Is that, do they have those conferences every year?
Yes.
That they can go to?
Yep. Yep, they get training, they earn credits towards their
Yeah.
certificates.
So what are we gonna do about the tenant cable business? Do we have to do
Until we
anything?
find out when our contract ends,
Okay.
I'm gonna just leave it.
Yeah,
And you don't have there's no copy in the office?
No,
That's hard to believe.
no, I couldn't even find a copy of the NG resources,
and Comcast doesn't have a copy?
but they're looking for it.
Okay.
It wasn't
Maybe we
readily
don't even
handled.
have a contract.
Yeah.
We just kept renewing it
Gosh, I
at the
remember
basic
them
rate.
talking
Keep
about
doing
a
it, I don't care.
I remember.
I don't mind that at all.
Hey, as long as you're spending money with
They're
me,
the
what
only
do I?
company in town, so.
Yeah,
So,
Well, maybe they don't have,
I think they do.
they must, well, they must, if they're getting, are
I
they
remember
getting a
talking about
modified
it.
rate or something?
When it's, yeah, because.
Well, isn't it the town that signs a contract?
Yeah, but
Yes.
everything here is
Comcast?
separate from the town.
Yeah, we're all
So
separate from the
it
town.
It was here. I have a vague recollection of that.
Maybe it was a 99-year contract. I'll be dead
Kind of like
before.
a timeshare.
All right.
okay, I need a motion to approve if there's no further
I'll make
questions.
a motion to approve the war report, October 1st through October 31st, 2022.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Do you have anything from your little director's report today?
Do I have anything? I think I had everything when I was talking earlier,
Okay.
other than,
It needs signatures, there's some checks.
Okay,
So
so,
we dealt with this,
Oh, actually, you can
bathroom business.
adjourn the meeting. Yes.
Have you
Oh,
been in
okay.
touch, have you been in touch with the building inspector so he knows what's going on here?
It's on my to-do list today.
Okay.
okay, so we're gonna adjourn the meeting first, then we can sign the checks and.
Next meeting date?
next meeting?
November,
16th, third Wednesday?
yeah,
Can we do it in the afternoon? It's gonna pose.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
well, I'm
Is that a
fine.
Wednesday?
Is that a problem for anybody else to do it in the afternoon? That's a
This is-
Wednesday.
One or
November-
after is great.
November 16th,
Two is
Wednesday at 2 PM.
Oh, gosh.
What?
I get to miss my TV show.
Oh, too bad, Gloria.
DVR it.
Yeah, but that's right, record
Yeah,
it,
record it.
record it,
I can't
okay?
figure out how
So
to
you're
do
calling the
that.
meeting?
That is so easy.
Okay,
Come and help me.
Just go to the.
I need a motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn?
second.
okay?
All
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.